At the age of 25, I finally drove a car alone. I didn't get my license when I was 16 because I just wasn't all that interested, I guess. At age 18, I finally got my first license, which meant I could drive a car with a licensed driver in the passenger seat. Completed driver's school, all-in car lessons, but my instructor was kind of a dick and we didn't get along. He didn't make me feel relaxed or confident, all he did was stress me out. So, after finishing my lessons, I just had a negative view of driving. It made me anxious. By age 19, people start to laugh at me for not having the next step in my licensing. I let it get to me. I avoided driving because I was embarrassed that I was still learning, and that continued until I was 24. It was horrible. The jokes stopped being funny to people and my anxiety about not having my license was just getting worse and worse. I hated it and it was making me depressed and lingering over me at all times. Any time driving came up with someone who didn't know that I couldn't drive, I would just lie. Anytime people talked about cars or driving around me, I would panic, get super flustered, and even leave the room because I didn't want anyone to mention that I couldn't drive. And then I said fuck this and took more lessons. I had cancelled a few times because I was so anxious about learning, but I eventually went. My instructor was nice, but she also made me feel like shit for not driving, but this time I wasn't going to let that stop me. I passed my driving test on my first try last week. Drove with my sister once, briefly, but today I drove myself to the gym for the first time ever. I was so nervous before getting in the car, but once I started I was having so much fun. It was amazing. I don't have anyone else to share this with, but I wanted to get it out there. Edit, there's so much support in this thread. If there's anyone out there who was like me and didn't have a license, PM me and we can talk about it. Response 1.
Well done.
Well done indeed. Triumphing over fears and anxieties feels great. Can you take the high you're on and transfer it to something else you're anxious about? Keep the winning streak going. You're a champion.
Response 2.
I just had my first driving lesson at the age of 27 about an hour ago. I had all the same fears and anxieties you mentioned, and a guy the first was seeing even dumped me once because I lied about being able to drive. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't drive I would lie or find a reason to leave the room too. I felt like my license was the only thing keeping me back from fully being an adult, but my fear of failure overtook me. I feel so confident after my first lesson and I hope you enjoy your newfound freedom.
Keep going to those lessons and you'll be able to enjoy the freedom with me.
Response 3.
Congratulations, that is so awesome. I'm 23 and I don't have my license yet. My parents didn't support me learning when I was teen, so I had no one to teach me for years. I finally took lessons about 6 months ago, and I practiced with my boyfriend a lot, but when I finally got up the courage to take the test I failed because of a stupid mistake. Someone cut me off in a construction zone, I was distracted and missed a stop sign, and all my anxiety came back. It took me months to start practicing again. I just started last week. I'm really not a bad driver, but I still feel like I'll never pass now. And X200B. It's really awesome to hear a story about someone getting their license late in life, makes me feel less alone. I totally feel you on the lying to people about driving thing, it's stressful as hell to feel behind.
I'm turning 23 tomorrow and I only passed my test 2 weeks ago. I felt like I'd never pass, but the relief when it finally happened was immense. Good luck.
Response 4.
Hey, I'm 33 and I just got my learners this year. It's actually the third time but the only time I've ever actually learned to drive. Won't be taking my test until next spring, so still haven't drove alone. Good job.
Keep practicing and you'll be guaranteed to pass on your first try.
Response 5.
Must be an American thing, I guess. In Europe, many people age and die without driving a vehicle even once. I'm 25 and I don't really plan on getting a license anytime soon. Well, a skydiving license may be cheeky smiley face.
We have very poor public transportation in most areas of the country. If you don't live in a largely populated city, you are most of the time required to get a license.
Response 6.
I was always afraid of hitting someone, so I just walked, biked, and used public transportation. Then I got married, moved to Northern California and had our son, and realized that it just wasn't efficient to walk a mile to and from the grocery store with a backpack of food on my back and strolling the 1-year-old. So my husband taught me how to drive and my life has changed forever. I grew up in LA and never drove until I went back to visit with my kid. My advice is, stay active even though you drive now. It's really easy to gain weight when you stop walking from place to place. Congratulations on your license and your drive to learn.
Response 7.
Shitty life pro tip: tell people you used to suffer from minor seizures and you just passed the time frame without a seizure so you can finally learn to drive. Then thank modern medicine. They'll feel like dicks.
I'm kicking myself for not thinking of that earlier.
Response 8.
Congratulations. I was about 26 when I drove by myself mainly due to anxiety on the road. I had an asshole instructor too. Once he started yelling at me, and I started crying. Embarrassing, I know, and I couldn't stop. He kept saying, stop crying, and then he said, I know why you're crying, it's because you're 25 and you don't know how to drive. I laugh about it now, but it fucking sucked at the time. Anyway, 3 years on and I'm a pro. You've got a lot of driving adventures and freedom ahead of you, enjoy.
Same thing happened to me. I'm 21 and just signed up for driving lessons after 5 years because the first time my instructor took me on the road without any prior driving and I got scared and froze. He had to hit the brakes and I bursted out in tears. Now I've been too scared to try again. But I'm planning to go to a different college out of state next year and want to be able to drive. Hopefully this instructor will be more supportive.
Response 9.
Congrats. I'm almost 20 and still don't have my driver's license because my parents wouldn't let me do driving school, but I'm on the path to getting it. Driving gives me anxiety too, you're not alone.
Response 10.
Username checks out.
Happy Cake Day.
Response 11.
I'm 34 and failed my road test last week. I choked and made a dumb mistake. I just started learning to drive in the summer but will probably wait until spring to try again because I'm too scared to drive in the winter.